What's up, guys? Welcome to the Behind the Golf Brand podcast. This week, I have my good friend Sean Ogle from Breaking 80. You guys have had to have fallen on his website at some point in your golfing life. If you haven't, you don't use Google. And he's been really taken off on YouTube. But the funny thing is, he's been at this for a long time, which is really cool. So I'm really excited to have him on the show. Welcome to the show.
Dude, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
How's that for an intro? That was pretty
There
nice.
you go. Nailed it. Made me feel so important.
You are important. So where are you located?
I am located in Portland, Oregon, which you wouldn't know because it actually looks kind of sunny out here right now, but it has not been that way for the last 6 months.
It's beautiful. I always thought you're on the East Coast. I don't know why I thought this, because like in your videos, you always have those trees in your background. And I was like, it looks like he's in a forest. Is that like a green screen or?
I've got a lot of green screen comms. Now I live in like a freaking treehouse.
Really?
Pretty much. Yeah. We're kind of right up, right above the trees. We're on the like lowest level. Our house is like 3 stories. And so we're in the lowest level right now, which is my office.
Oh, that's really cool. So are you a professional golfer?
I am not. You could say I'm a professional golfer in the sense that I make my living by mostly playing golf, but no, I'm like a 10, 11 handicap right now.
Oh, that's good. I'm a 16, so I'm on a good day. Not this weekend. I was like a freaking 19 or 20, but
yeah, we've all been there.
Yeah, it was rough. So how'd you get into golf?
So I grew up my entire childhood. I played competitive tennis. So that was like all the way through high school, like 3, 4, 5 times a week. That's what I was doing. And for my high school graduation, my uncle gave me my first set of golf clubs. And so I was like, all right, this is cool. Or my first real set. I had like a cheap set that I kind of hit around with and was like, oh, this is kind of fun. Like I got super burnt out playing tennis. So when I was in college, especially like my junior and senior year, you could go out and it was $9 for 9 holes at the local course. I went to Oregon State, so I was in Corvallis, a place called Tristing Tree.
Oh, nice.
$17 for 18, and I only had classes on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and I didn't start until noon those days. So I go out like first thing in the morning, play 18 holes, and just kind of fell in love with it.
That's crazy. So like, you didn't really play with like your dad growing up, or like your uncle or anybody?
No, I played with my uncle a little bit because he was the one that was kind of getting into it, and then started playing with my dad a little bit more in college. My uncle kind of started it, and then both my parents kind of took it over, and now they kind of have dwindled out a little bit. I'm the one that's stuck with it and kept playing.
No, that's cool. So then, all right. So did you grow up in Oregon then? Always?
Yeah, grew up in Eugene.
And then, okay, so you grew up in Oregon. You went to, what did you major in college?
Finance. So
Finance.
Business with finance kind of option.
So that's pretty far from like where you're at now.
It's yeah, you could say that. I don't know that there was a single thing aside from like social skills. I'm not sure there was a single piece of the college curriculum that has been directly applicable to my life. Even when I got a job out of school in finance, the stuff I learned wasn't really that relevant.
That's what I feel like. I feel like we're that generation where we were, go to college, get a good job, blah, blah, blah. And then it's like almost everybody I know doesn't use what they got in college. Like nobody.
Yeah.
And then, then you get an advanced degree, whatever that is. And then you got more money. And it's like, I don't know. Like a lot of the entrepreneurs I talk to and work with, it's like they don't do that. They don't do what they do now. Like it just kind of was like a stepping stone into what they do now. I guess that makes sense.
Yeah. And I mean, I was a little bit of an anomaly. Like I graduated in July of 07, went into finance. So by February of 09, the market had collapsed. My bosses were unhappy. Our clients were unhappy. I was unhappy. And was like, okay, this isn't what I thought it was. I was so excited. Like I had like nice office with a view and a suit and tie. I was like very excited for this. And I realized
what you were sold on, right? Like
I was totally sold on it. And then you realize the suit and tie, okay, maybe not all it's cracked up to be. And so I ended up taking all my vacation time for the year, February of 09, and went down to Rio for Carnival with my best friend. So we spent 2 weeks down there. We danced in the Carnival parade. We went hang gliding over Rio. It was like the most epic trip ever.
Like really lived life.
Yeah, the day I got back, I got a 20% pay cut. So that's when I was like, okay, we need to figure something else out here. Like I should be able to do that whenever I want. And I'm not making nearly enough money to make this worth it. So 2 months later is when I started my first blog, kind of documenting my quarter life crisis. And I still, write on that blog today. And October of that year, left my job, moved to Thailand, haven't looked back since.
So you started the blog. Was it like on a website or was it like a blog or was that blog?
No, I started it as SeanOgle.com, my name. There's a guy, his name's Chris Guillebeau. So he had a blog called The Art of Nonconformity. He had this goal of going to every country in the world by the time he was 35. And so I was like following this, quest. He was blogging twice a week. I was like, man, this is so cool. I want to be able to do this. I want to travel all over like he is. Like he was getting really close to this goal. And he ended up moving to Portland. And so I sent him an email and was like, hey, any chance I could buy you a cup of coffee? He agreed to it. And he was the one's like, yeah, you should start a blog and
you should do this. Like
you do this. So I did it. And then like a month or two later, I went back. I said, all right, I did everything you said I should do. Now what should I do? He's like, well, you should maybe try this. And, 6 months later, I quit my job and basically been blogging full time ever since.
So how did you do that? Like, did you have to start saving up because you're coming up with your plan, right? To really do it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know. Like, how does that work? Like you just start selling stuff or what?
No. So my buddy that I went to Rio with, 3 weeks after we got back, he quit his job and moved to Hawaii. And he's like, look, I'm just looking to pay the bills while I'm here, break even. And then in January, that following year, he's going to start a world trip. So I used to talk to him on my lunch break every day or 2-3 times a week. And
you're miserable.
I was miserable. He's living the life. He was working as a concierge at a hotel where they're like, yeah, they're sending me to do all the stuff that all the guests need to do because I need to be able to talk about it. So he's like, yeah, we're doing a helicopter sunset, tour. We've got a dolphin booze cruise coming up next week. So he's living the life. And I'm like, okay, clock's ticking. If he's traveling the world starting next January, I'm not gonna be able to forgive myself if I'm still in this job that I'm
This is it. This is your chance.
This is it. So I had this brilliant idea where my boss at one point, we're struggling. They were still a new business. They were at a big brokerage and decided to open their own RIA, registered investment advisor firm. So I started
in 2009.
Yeah. Or 2007.
Oh, and so literally.
So right, everything was good when we started, and then a year later, everything's gone to hell. That plan didn't work out the way they'd hoped. So he was like, if you can think of any creative ways to save the company money, I'd love to hear about it. And so I'm like, all right, I can come up with some creative ways to do this. So I put together a whole remote work proposal. I was like, if you let me work remotely for 3 months on a trial basis, I'll take a 50% pay cut. You won't have to pay for my parking. I'll open us up to a new client base. I'm going to make you guys more the company more secure as we figure out how to do this so that you can travel more. And we had 2 or 3 meetings about it over the course of 6 weeks. And I'm like, yeah, they're going to go for this. And I'm going to move to Hawaii and go hang out and work my job and hang out with my buddy Ryan. And he calls me into his office one day. He's like, hey, Sean, let's chat about your proposal. So he calls me in. He's like, so we decided not to accept your proposal, but we will accept this as your resignation.
Really? What a jerk.
And I was like, dude, you told me to come up with a creative way to save the company money. I just came up with a win-win creative solution. And so we went back and forth and, I had the opportunity to kind of save, my job. And in the end, I was like,
yeah, for not even less money probably now too. They're like, oh, well, if he's going to take 50% less, then.
Exactly. And so at that point I was like, you know what, screw this. I'm out. Yeah, I'm out. And, I went home. That was, October of 2009. I went home, cried that night. My girlfriend, now wife, we went to go see a movie, and I woke up the next morning, went to the gym at 8 a.m. and was like, Wednesday, gym at 8 a.m. I never could have done that. All right, let's start blogging and see what we can turn this thing into. So ended up creating a course called Location Rebel Academy about a year and a half later. And so that was how I really started kind of making money through the site, was kind of teaching people how to build small businesses, how to freelance, how to make that transition.
Could you imagine if you were doing this shit 10 years later, 2019? Because you could have done a YouTube on that in 2 seconds and there probably wouldn't have been a blog. It would just been you traveling the world doing cool shit.
Well, it's wild because it's old school. That was what people used to do.
That was what people did. Yeah.
People check YouTube and check Instagram and check TikTok.
4 hour work week, whatever. That's exactly. Yeah.
They're like waiting for, like, I remember with Chris's blog, like every Monday and every Thursday, I'd be hitting refresh on his blog every Monday morning and be like, dude, give me my fix. I need like my travel fix, something to inspire me to go like make these changes.
Live your
And
life.
so,
Yeah.
so it's been interesting to see the evolution, but I kind of think what's old is new again. You know, everybody was like all about social and obviously still are, but you know, when was the last time you Googled something and a TikTok showed up or an Instagram post or Facebook shows? So it's like, if people are actually looking for helpful information, blogs are still the best place to do it. YouTube is a little bit of a different story, but if you can do those two things in tandem, then you've got something really special.
That's the hard part, I think.
That's the hard part. Easier said than done.
So all right. So then you guys moved to Thailand. So then you got all this set up. Were you like freelancing? What were you doing? Like, how'd you make money?
So this dude hit me up and he's like, hey, Sean, like just saw, like been following your blog for a while. At this point, the blog was like 6 months old. He's like, I think what you're doing is awesome. I've got this opportunity. I'm looking to bring an American dude out to Asia. I'll pay you your basic living expenses. You work for me part-time and I'll teach you internet marketing, SEO. So you work for me 20 hours a week. The rest of the time you do whatever you want. So I told my girlfriend, it wasn't even really a conversation. It was like, I am doing this. Like, if I don't make myself happy first and figure this out, I'm never gonna be able to make you happy. So I've got to like take this opportunity. So beginning of January, I flew to Bangkok, met this random dude from the internet at the airport at 1 a.m. And it was the best thing I ever could have done for my business and everything that I was doing.
So was he doing like SEO and all that back then? Like,
yeah, he had 3 websites. He had a valet podium website. So like, you know, you go to a fancy restaurant, they've got the like podium for the car valet where they put the keys and everything. So he manufactured valet podiums, one of the biggest valet podium manufacturers, industrial key boxes and modern cat furniture. And so that's how I learned how to do online marketing, was through my blog and then doing SEO for cat furniture website and a valet podium website. And it's funny because I still, like, at least a few times a year, I'll go to a restaurant and there'll be one of their valet podiums sitting there. And I was like, that podium got me my start on the internet.
That's crazy.
So
there's tons of SEOs in Thailand, like Chiang Mai. That's where they're all at. I know that.
Yeah, it used to be in 2010. It was Bangkok, and then everybody, like, you know, it's
really?
It's been a
I didn't know
migration.
that.
Everybody went down to Bali in like 2011, 2012.
Oh yeah,
then to Chiang Mai, then just like Ho Chi Minh City, and you know, all those are hotspots. And now it's like everybody's a digital nomad, so all those places have tons and tons of people doing
Southeast
that. But at
Asia,
the time,
all of it.
It was kind of a relatively unique thing.
Yeah, I have a bunch of friends that live in Chiang Mai, and they also live in Phuket part of the year too.
Yeah,
but, I mean,
yeah, it's wild.
I those places.
I lived there for almost a year and never even made it up to Chiang Mai. Every time someone wanted to come visit, they wanted to go down to the islands. So it's like, all right, once a month, we'll go down to the islands and hang out for a week or two. And
it's like so cheap to live there, huh? Like, it's super cheap.
Yeah, I had a $200 a month apartment, but I mean, it didn't have a kitchen. It was one room. It was a total, you know, shithole.
That's all right. You get to live life.
It was like, at the time, like, you know, when I left my job, I only had 10 grand in the bank. So it's like, all right, I can live here cheaply. I can have an adventure. I've got world-class Thai food for, you know, $1 a pop outside. Dollar beers. Like, this is great. So I think I was like 25 at the time, 26, something like that. So
it was. How long were you in Thailand then?
About a year, a little less than a year.
And then what did you do? You started moving all over the place?
No. So basically, like, my girlfriend at the time, she's like, hey, like, we had broken up for part of the time while I was there. She came out for the last month that I was there. And at the end, she's like, all right, like, you can stay here if you want, but we're breaking up for good. Or if you want to continue this, then you need to come back to Portland. And so I went back to Portland, and now we're married and have a kid. And so I still travel a lot, and I still traveled quite a bit in those early days, but it was no more like 7-8 month stints. It's like, all right, I did 2 months, 2 months in Bali the next year. And then after that, it was a lot of like 2-week trips, 3-week trips, things like that.
So you still have Location Rebel, right?
Yep.
And your course. Do you still have your course or no?
Yeah, we've had over 5,000 members go through it over the last 10 years, 11 years.
Holy crap, dude.
So yeah, most of what we do now is teach people how to build freelance writing businesses. I think freelance writing is the easiest way to make money on the internet. So if you're someone, you don't like your job, you're not happy with where you're at, you're trying to figure out how you can make a little bit of money on your own, I think freelance writing is the best way to do it. And so,
And you're a decent writer and you speak English, like,
exactly.
and then you can, like,
and even if you're not that great of a writer, there's lower level, types of work out there that you can find opportunities with. But especially if you've got like a high school degree, that level of writing, then there's a lot of opportunities out there.
Yeah. I feel like I'm not saying blog, but like on websites, I think there's like different levels of copyright, So like it's like an everyday person talking, or is it like, more analytical, I guess?
Totally. And you get into like, the difference between like an SEO focused informational article that's 750 words. And it's like, okay, like most people can Google, spend 20 or 30 minutes learning what they need to learn and write that article. And then you've got like high-end copywriting, persuasion, sales pages, trying to make sales, which obviously you have to have a certain expertise to do that. And then there's kind of everywhere in between. Technical writing, like regular blog content writing, writing scripts for YouTube or social media. And obviously AI is kind of changing all of this or evolving it all, but there's still lots of different opportunities out there.
Yeah, I totally agree. That's crazy. 5,000 people through your course. So you get traffic from that and you have a course. That's brilliant. So then when did you start Breaking 80?
So started Breaking 80 in the summer of 2012. And basically it was kind of like, you know what? I've kind of figured out this blogging thing. Let's apply it to something that I'm really passionate about. And so at the time I was golfing a lot and I went out and I played, there's a course in Central Oregon called Pronghorn, which got 2 courses, but one of them was top 100 public, still is. And I played that course and it was the first like really nice golf course I played and was like, oh man, this is cool. I want to play more courses like this. And so I started Breaking 80 in part because there weren't really many good golf sites out at the time. Like nobody was doing what they're doing on YouTube or Instagram or any of that stuff. And also I was like, all right, well, now I want to go play more of these courses. Let's make a goal. Let's go play the top 100 public courses in the country and I'll document the whole thing. And the website will be the outlet for that. And so I started doing it. And the more I traveled and the more courses I played, I was kind of like, well, if I'm like, going to the middle of nowhere in Michigan to go play these, public courses, I'd really like to see the top 100, like the best of the best, the ones that include a lot of private courses. So I started then making the goal of the top 100, not just the top 100 public. Then I took a trip to Scotland. And at one point I had played more of the top 100 in the world than I had in the US. I was like, cool, well, let's expand this. We'll play the top 100 courses in the world. And so now it's just it's evolved to the point where I just like playing cool golf courses with cool people. And, I'm still kind of tracking the list. I'm at I think I mentioned I'm at 52 out of 100 on the top 100 world list. But I don't write about that side of things as much. There's lots of other people that are doing it now. So it's just kind of a fun little side project. And I'll occasionally share some of the course reviews and photos and everything, but it's not necessarily the primary focus of the site, how it was early on.
So when did you start pivoting off of just the courses?
Probably,
to like more products.
I was always doing some product stuff mixed in there, but it was probably like 2016, 2018, where I started realizing that the product reviews got a lot more traffic than the course reviews did. And so I was like, all right, well, let's try a few more of these and see what happens. And so then it just kind of snowballed from there.
So then at the same time, though, you're still running Location Rebel and you had a YouTube channel for that, right? So when did you start the YouTube channel for Location Rebel?
So I technically started it in like 2011 and I'd like do it for a little bit and then stop and then do it for a little bit and stop. But it was like 2018 is when I really kind of restarted it and stayed consistent with it all the way through. So I would say 2018 is when I really got serious about it.
That's for Location Rebel though, right?
For Location Rebel, yeah.
So then you started focusing more on the golf.
Yeah.
And then when did you really start like honing in on YouTube for Breaking 80?
Yeah. So I started, I don't know if that was when I officially started it, but I really got the YouTube channel going March of last year. So March of 2022.
You can see that. I mean, shit, dude, you've gotten like 10,000 new followers in like a year, which is awesome.
Yeah, well, basically what happened was the blog was doing really well. And I was like, look, I've done over 300 YouTube videos for Breaking 80 or for Location Rebel. So it's like I kind of gotten the YouTube drill down at least a little bit. And the reason I didn't want to get into it with golf is like the amount of time and effort. It's like, man, I'm gonna have to go to the course. I'm gonna have to set up the camera. All of a sudden, you have to start thinking about like lighting and audio and being compelling and all the product
And
shots.
slowing
It's like
people down and blah, blah,
slowing
blah.
people down.
Oh, I
There's
know.
just
It
so much
sucks.
that goes into that.
Yeah.
And so I was like, you know what? I don't want to do that, but maybe there's an opportunity to, you know, review the products. All the products I've already reviewed. I'm going out to the course. I'm using them. I'm, you know, testing them out. I'm doing
You
the
know
written
everything about
reviews.
it. Yeah.
So what if I just did the exact same setup that I'm doing for Location Rebel, like in my home office, and just talk about the products? And, you know, I'll throw in some B-roll or whatever, but it goes from like a whole production of having to think about all the video quality and everything. Let's just, you know, talk about it and see what happens. And I think what my thought is what happened is so many of the people that are doing product reviews on the courses, you end up with like a lot of like dead time where they're fumbling around, they're hitting shots. A lot of them, some of them might be more compelling because there's a lot of visuals. Some people are funnier than me, so there's more entertainment value. But with my product reviews, it's like, it's pretty much like, cool, I'm going to sit here, I'm going to tell you all the pros and cons very quickly, like, you know, pretty well edited, what you need to know quickly. And I think that that's what a lot of people are looking for. So it ended up, you know, doing better than I expected it to.
It's really smart. I mean, like I said, I'm a fan. I saw your Breaking 80 site like 3 or 4 years ago. I remember seeing it. I was like, and I remember reading your bio a long time ago. I'm like, oh, that's really cool. Like I just remember reading, like I just remember, I don't know why. Because when I was getting ready for today's show, I was like, I remember reading this before. But you're right. Like, I don't know, I think it's what's so interesting about YouTube is that like everyone does it differently. There's no right or wrong way of doing it. It's just how you do it or how you figure out how to do it, I guess is a better way of saying it. Like,
totally. And so there's a big part of me that's like, man, I need to do more on course stuff or more, you know, when I'm traveling and playing courses, do some of the like course vlogs and stuff like that. But kind of what I realized is if I'm like, we just did a trip to Australia and so played 7 new courses while I was down there and was like, I'm trying to, you know, play golf. I'm trying to socialize with the people I'm playing with. I'm trying to take photos. I'm with my family. I'm trying to take photos on the golf course. Doing video is just too much. It's like one thing too many.
It's almost impossible. I'm not saying it's not fully impossible because I mean, a year ago when I started doing YouTube like full time, like I mean, honestly, here's a true story. I would hire somebody to come film me here in the studio. I'd get a videographer. They did a good job. Nothing wrong with the videographer, but like if you hire a wedding photographer or a videographer, someone who does not do YouTube, they have no idea what they're doing. Right? They like they can take good video, but they don't know how to edit. They don't know how the angles. They don't know. It's a whole other like I feel type of art. Let's call it. And I think like for me, then I was like really nervous having to start and be like, well, I'm going to film myself, and I knew nothing. And I just started, you know, I watched those first couple of videos I made. I'm like, oh man, these are terrible.
Well, that's how you know you're doing something right. If you go back and look at those old videos, you're like, man, these suck.
I look at those,
like, you've gotten better and you've improved. And I hope that a year from now, like I think my videos are pretty good right now, but I hope a year from now I look back and was like, oh, that's bad.
Yeah, it's like now I feel like with my videos, I think my videos are doing a lot. I think my videos are way better than they were before. But again, you're right to the point where it's very difficult. And there's only a couple of YouTubers that I know that are doing it themselves, where we're filming yourself. And I'm not saying if they have an editor or not, but just filming yourself is a huge pain in the ass. Like it's just a huge pain in the ass, especially if you're trying to play, because you don't want to slow down the game. You don't want to piss off the other people you're playing with. You want to be able to get all your talking points in while playing. It's just a lot of.
So many dynamics that kind of come into play there. And so that's where I kind of made the decision. I was like, if I have to deal with all of that, I'm not going to do it. And if I'm going to start YouTube, it needs to be consistent. It needs to be something I can keep up with. And
so you can bust it out and blow it out.
Yeah. So there's a lot I could do better, but the way I'm doing it now at least allows me to get the content out that is hopefully going to help people. I mean, it's the whole reason I did it, is to get people to the point where it helps them make their buying decisions and maybe be a little bit of entertained on the way. And, you know, stay consistent. But as soon as it's like there's too many barriers to entry, then I'm not going to do it, and it's not going to be worth it. So
I mean, the next barrier to entry really is like, okay, if you go on course, like if you want to do it the right way, you need someone to follow you with the camera.
Exactly.
That's what they're looking for. Like that's it. And like, who are they talking to? Sean knows this, but I was at True Linksware's golf tournament this weekend, right? And there was a bunch of influencers there, and I was talking to somebody. I'm not gonna say who it was, and they said that and I agreed with them 100%. They go, you can't really ask a golf course, can I film on course, right? You see to go film it, because really, if you go and ask, usually they're going to say no, or they're going to say, oh yeah, it's $1,500. That's what they told me. I'm like, somebody's going to charge you extra money. It's like, yeah, they wanted $1,500. And I was like, are you serious? And every time I've asked the course, they've said no, or they said, oh, I have to go to my marketing manager or some other story. And I was like, we just gone and filmed, and it would have been done.
And you get to the second, third hole, they got no idea you're out there, and you're good to go.
No. Yeah, seriously. And you guys plug the course and see how great it is. Like, so it's almost like you have to be like secretive. You know what I mean? Not secretive, but I don't know. So
and if courses were smart, they would recognize, be like, cool, like these are the times of, the week that we're not super busy. You can come out, you can do everything you need to do. And if, you want to help us out, give us a plug, say that's where you're doing it, and everybody wins.
Like he was telling me he went to he's based out of LA, and he said the courses were telling him, he's like, look, I'll come in first thing in the morning when it's dark, like before anything happens. We'll get out for no. Everyone said no to them. I was like, really? And he works with a really big golf club manufacturer from Carlsbad. Yeah. I'm not gonna say who it is, but like they still couldn't like. And I was like, you know what? That's like the third time I've heard this. I think like, the people that are in the United States trying to do on-course review, there's only a couple of us, really, I think. And I mean, I'm not like a big one. But you have to have that relationship with the course, or you just got to go do it. And then hopefully the people you're playing with are not going to be pissed off at you.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, more power to you. It's one of those things I would love to do more.
No, I don't know. I'm not saying the right way you're doing it. I'm just like,
hey, no, I think it's, but if you do it the right way, then you're providing that much more information for the viewer. You're giving them more visuals. They're allow them to see the product and get kind of real-time feedback with how it goes. And if you do that well, I think that's more compelling than what I'm doing. But, I just know if I were to go out myself, I don't think I'd be able to do it very well.
Well, I don't feel like I'm doing it well. And I feel like, I mean, you're not going to play golf. You're literally running to take a shot, to do the watch, talk about the feature, run to the next thing, set up the tripod, because you're trying to keep pace of play. Like you could probably score a 50, on a 9-hole course, or 60, because you don't have time to even think. Like you're just trying to and then you're trying to, like, I'll have my iPad and I'll go through it and be like, oh crap, I still have to do that talking point, whatever that is, or
the bigger your brand gets, the less you play golf. That's for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I like what you're doing. I think it's really smart. What a smart way. I love having people like me on the show. Like, I think it's so cool to hear how people do it differently. And it's smart because you're able to get it done in a consistent manner. You control all the variables. And, if I spend 2-3 hours on this today, I can get this video done. And I'm not gonna have to worry about running around, and it could look like shit, or the sun could be above your head, or the audio's messed up because they're mowing the lawn, or whatever. I mean,
yeah. So that's what's worked for me. We'll see. I think we'll experiment with some more stuff and branch things out. Especially as I've got some travel coming up, and potentially do some like travel vlogs. But I don't know if people are gonna be into that. It's like you said. It's like you kind of got your narrow niche, and so. If you go too far beyond that, then sometimes, the audience isn't into it, or the algorithm isn't into it, and you don't get any views, and it's not worth all the extra time and effort. So who knows?
I was talking to somebody and they recommended, like, if you're going to do something outside what you normally do, it's like a 2 or 3 to 1 ratio. Like do 2 or 3 of what you normally do, and then plop it in there, and then do 3.
It's like 1 for me, 4 for you.
Yeah, exactly.
4 videos for your audience, 1 video that I want to do.
But be honest though, wouldn't you love to be able to just go play 18 at a cool course and vlog it? Like, isn't like that to me, that's like the epitome of what I want to do, right? Talk, have fun, enjoy, like have the day, encapsulate that in video. But it's like there's only so many brands that do a really good job of that, and it's like,
well, and with that, for me, I've done a little bit of that, and some of those videos have done well. Some of them have been really fun, but you have to have the right people in your group. So I'm finding, like, if you're doing it with other quote unquote influencers or people that do similar things to us, then it can be really fun. So they're like, all right, what can we do to get content? So I was playing Pebble Beach a few years ago. We're down for a charity event with, 3 other people, Kyle Mays, Cart Barn Guys, and Hannah and Fred, who have big Instagram accounts, and they're all good golfers. They're all like plus handicaps, and me being like 10 or 11. So with each one of them, I was like, all right, I get one stroke and I'm going to do like a 1-hole match with you at Pebble Beach. And so shot a bunch of videos around that. We went to like the 4th hole at a Spyglass, big 110-foot long green, had like a putting challenge. And so those little kind of like microcosms that you can do, I think are a lot of fun. But the reason it worked is because they were all in the exact same mode I was. We're like, cool, I want to create a fun video for my audience.
Smart.
But if you're playing with just 3 other people that don't care about YouTube and don't want to be on camera, then it's really difficult to create that type of content.
Well, that's why, like Bob Does Sports does a good job because they're all characters, right? Like it's funny, like it's entertaining. Good. Each thing is good. They all have their own character, right? Like whoever the role they play, whatever that.
And
role
that's
is.
the people that are doing that type of stuff the best are the ones that have, in most cases, like a group or at least a few different people where personalities can play off each other.
Yeah, and 2-3 camera guys.
Where they're just 2-3 camera guys. That helps.
Yeah, and editors, and the course wants them to be there, not like you're.
And the sound guy holding up the boom mic,
and the sound guy following them. Yeah, all those small things that we
don't forget the drone operator. You got to have a dedicated.
Oh yeah, I got the drone, the flyby, and the really cool stuff. Yeah. So then,
that all sounds what? Great. Stop doing this myself. Get more people involved.
Yeah, I wish. That would be cool. I know Good was here last night. Was it last night? Yeah, last night they were in Arizona doing the thing. So like what's in store for your channel or for you this year coming up?
Man, so right now I'm just working through, it's, May. I've still got products that I got in March, April that we're trying to kind of get reviews out. It's that time of the year. So a lot of that type of content. I still do have a whole bunch of travel stuff that I'd like to get out. So once we kind of get through the product reviews, got a lot of photos to edit and I want to share that side of things. Have a few trips coming up. So one of the things I haven't mentioned is I have a golf society called the 80 Club. So that is basically a golf society for private club members around the world. So as I was starting my kind of top 100, quest, I was getting a bunch of people who are members at some of these cool clubs around the world. That's like, hey, if you're in New York, I'm a member of such and such club. I'd love to have you out. So at the end of 2016, I was like, this was before 1,000 Greens was a thing. There weren't a ton of golf societies out there. I was like, there's got to be a way to introduce these people to each other. They all need to know each other and turn it into a business for myself. So I started the 80 Club. We're at over 200 members now. And so we do a handful of events every year. So we're going to Alberta, going to go play, Banff Springs, Jasper, a few other courses over there.
So pretty.
We have a Bandon trip coming up in November, like 20 guys. So it's going to be good. So some travel for that, handful of kind of media type things, going to a few different places, to a few resorts and that type of thing. So mostly just continuing to do what I'm doing. More of the same. It's all been working pretty well and people seem to enjoy it. So just trying to give them as much of it as I can.
No, it's really cool. I mean, you're so diverse, man. Like seriously, like it's cool because, it's not like you're just, I do product review. It's like, no, I have this whole other thing with like, encores, not vlog style, but like encores, checking out the courses, doing reviews of world famous courses. You have the club, which I forgot about talk about that. That's how big is that? Does that get each year? Do like more people keep on joining, or how does that work?
Yeah, I will say, being totally honest, COVID was a challenge. We had 8 or 9 events that all got canceled. Beginning of 2021, I had a kid, so all of a sudden my times changed.
Yeah, cut in half.
Travel wasn't happening. So just now I'm starting to kind of get re-energized with it. And, it was pretty plateaued, pretty stagnant for a while, but now we're starting to get some new people in and it's been exciting to kind of get excited about it again, as opposed to, having everything planned. And it's like, oh, COVID, got to cancel that. So, so it's taken a few years to kind of get back to it, but it's been a lot of fun. The group is great. A lot of very well-traveled and really interesting people in there
to hang out with, and it's fun times too, and you get to play really cool courses.
Yeah, we did an event last year at Oak Hill, which they've got the PGA Championship. So we stayed on property there for 3 nights and played 4 rounds of golf, and so that was really cool. So to be able to do that type of thing is really special.
Well, where can people find you?
So youtube.com/breaking80. It's always spelt out EIGHTY. Instagram at Breaking80, or breaking80.com. It's probably the best place to start. You can go get a sense of what we're doing on the site. And if there's a specific type of product you're looking for, there's a good chance we probably reviewed it before.
Well, I really appreciate you being on the show. I mean, like I said, I've been a fan for a long time. I remember, like, I swear to God, I remember finding your articles like back in 17. I really do. So it's cool to see how fast you've grown on YouTube too, and that you're doing it your way, which is it's cool to see that, because I feel like YouTube's it's so much an algorithm, but then it's like finding the right way that works best for you. But um, huge supporter of the show. I love what you're doing, and you guys need to check out Sean's website and YouTube channel. But I will see you guys in the next episode.